Now, if there's someone you don't like in a job, someone you actively demonize, does it make sense to actually keep them in that job when you have a perfectly viable candidate just waiting in the wings? No? Well, this week, let's see why the GOP is doing exactly that. Welcome, my little flavors, to another episode of the Motley Stew Show. I'm your host, Luke Goldstein, and this week we're going to look at some terrible stalling tactics going on in the Senate right now. Now, this is Loretta Lynch. She's been tagged to succeed Eric Holder as Attorney General of the United States. Now, Holder is someone that the GOP has actively torn apart and blamed for everything from the killing of border agents to purposely instigating riots in Ferguson. This is not someone the Republicans have much heart for, at all. Now, Lynch has already sailed through the confirmation committee with barely a scratch because neither side can actually find anything wrong with her stellar record. Well, especially the Democrats, because they're the ones that picked her. Now, the only thing left she needs is actually a vote on the Senate floor, but that's being held up by the Republicans right now because they're trying to pressure the Democrats to go along with a human trafficking bill that in the last minute had an amendment added to it. Now, the bill in question is about human trafficking, and what it would do is actually create a victims restitution fund for people who were actually found to be victims of human trafficking who were brought into the country. The last minute amendment in question is actually an extension of the Hyde Amendment, which was created by this guy. He's Republican Congressman Henry Hyde, hence being known as the Hyde Amendment. And what it does is it blocks all federal funding and federal tax money from being used for abortions, except in the case of rape and incest. Now, this was originally voted on and passed back in 1976, and it's gone through a number of small tweaks through the years, but basically still remains the same amendment. Now, at the last minute, the Republicans added an extension of the Hyde Amendment into the human trafficking bill. So let's look at this in usage in an actual situation of human trafficking. Now, a girl is kidnapped from her country and then brought over to America. Now, along the way, she may have been raped, beaten, and otherwise sold to other people for sex. Somewhere along there, she gets pregnant. So this amendment would actually disallow her from using any of that restitution fund to get an abortion for the child that was made during that trip, unless she could prove that what happened wasn't consensual. Now, I don't know if you've ever investigated how hard it is to actually prove rape in certain cases, but it is not as easy as you would think or hope. And you can't imagine why this girl or woman in that case may not want to carry that child the full term. Now, adding an amendment like this at the last minute is a common practice known as a poison pill. The reason why is the people who add it to the bill are actually hoping that their opponents will just hold their nose and swallow it just so they can get the original bill through. Now, both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat, were looking to easily pass this human trafficking bill because really no one wants to stand for human trafficking. But the Democrats want the extension of the Hyde Amendment taken out, and the GOP is saying, we're not going to take it out, and you need to pass this or we're not going to confirm Loretta Lynch as the new Attorney General. Which is odd because not confirming her keeps Eric Holder in the job, someone that they actively hate. Now, both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat, have used the poison pill throughout political history, but that's not all that's going on in Lynch's confirmation attacks. In the beginning, when her name was actually mentioned as a possible successor to Eric Holder, the folks over at Breitbart.com decided so quickly that she was terrible, mainly because she was picked by Obama. They went out and put up a blog post saying that she was connected to the Clintons because she had defended them as an attorney in the Whitewater trials. Small problem there. This is Loretta Lynch. This is also a Loretta Lynch. And this is the one who defended the Clintons during the Whitewater scandal. Two different people. Do they look the same? Fox News also tried to jump on the bandwagon by labeling her a radical because she actually supported the Department of Justice's investigations into the recent rise of voter ID laws. Now, myself, I'm hard-pressed to find anything radical about investigating laws that have been put in place to supposedly fix a problem that wasn't actually there in the first place. Just recently, in Ohio, Secretary of State John Husted tried to justify the millions of dollars he spent in an investigation that concluded this year by saying they found 145 illegally registered voters. 145. Do you know how many that actually means in terms of the total voting population of Ohio? This tiny fraction. This tiny fraction here out of 7.7 million people in Ohio. That's how many they were able to come up with. Now, I don't know about you, but that's an obscene amount of money paid per voter that they found out. What an epidemic of voter fraud. And this is what they're saying Loretta Lynch should be held up for, because she obviously believes that law is wrong. Another vocal reason why they don't like her is because she believes that the recent actions taken by President Obama about immigration were actually lawful. They want the next Attorney General to come in and immediately sue Obama for saying he stepped over his bounds. But two things. One, he didn't step over his bounds. It's actually been proven throughout time that presidents can do what he did in deferring action. Secondly, I don't know about you, but what boss would hire somebody with the sole intention of having them turn around and sue them immediately? He's not going to pick someone who believes that. So they keep claiming that Loretta Lynch is for amnesty, but also it's been discussed over and over and debunked that what Obama did was not amnesty in any way, shape, or form. But that's a longer story, and if you want to talk about that, just leave a comment down below. Loretta Lynch is now waiting approximately over 128 days to get a confirmation vote on the floor of the Senate. Once she hits 133 days, she will have waited the second longest period of time for any cabinet member in history to get a confirmation vote. Back in Clinton's day, UN Ambassador Richard Holbrooke took 176 days to get through. So do you think it's okay for the GOP to hold up someone who's eminently qualified for the job just because they don't agree with one other different, completely unconnected bill? Should the practice of adding poison pills actually still be allowed or somehow restricted? And if so, how would you go about doing it? Let me know in the comments. So thanks again for watching another episode of The Motley Stew Show. You can like, favorite, share, subscribe, or you can go to your window and just yell out in glee. Stay tuned for next week, and as always, here's your little bit of Logan.
You want to go on the slide? Okay.
I don't know about you, but what boss would hire somebody with the sole intention of having them turn around and sue them immediately? He's not going to pick someone who believes that.